where he is, like what he has done. Like he has been an NBA trainer. He's worked with a lot of big players. He has worked with a lot of big players, and obviously worked with the G League team for the NBA. Like Rob Dozier is genuinely a good trainer, and it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people are like talking about Caitlin Clark not really wanting to do it because she's not working out with Chris Brickley. I mean this when I say
Basketball remains the top priority for the Indiana Fever's star player regardless of the calendar date. Recent observations from a 2016 statement continue proving accurate training never stops whether facing rain, hail, sleet, snow, birthday celebrations, or ordinary days. The dedication displayed during this particular off-season period stands out as particularly noteworthy. The hiring of Rob Dozier represents a significant organizational move. Following Keith Porter's departure, bringing in someone with Dozier's credentials marks a substantial upgrade. His background includes extensive NBA experience, working with numerous high-profile athletes and serving with the G League developmental program for professional basketball. His reputation within training circles is well established and respected.
in this when I say this, like I've gone to clinics from Drew Hanlon. I've seen a lot of these workouts on an individual basis. When you're going to any of these NBA trainers on an individual basis, they all do the same thing. Like you're looking at similar things. Maybe Drew Hanlon has people jumping and doing 360s in the air a little bit more. But working out with these people, it's not necessarily about what they do in the individual sessions. It's who they can bring.
Some discussion emerged, questioning whether this represents the optimal choice, with comparisons made to other prominent trainers like Chris Brickley. However, understanding how elite-level training actually functions reveals these concerns may be misplaced. Analysis of various NBA trainers' methodologies, including attending clinics and observing individual workout sessions, shows remarkable consistency across the board. Whether working with Drew Hanlon, Chris Brickley, Rob Dozier, or other respected professionals, the fundamental drills remain largely identical. One trainer might incorporate more aerial movements or 360-degree rotations, but the core exercises follow similar patterns. This consistency extends from youth programs through professional levels. Certain fundamental drills never change because they work.
It's who they can bring. It's the difference is who they can bring with them. So like, especially on the men's side, it's like I knew guys who, like Drew Hanlon would fly them over to LA in the summers and they would play against, these were like really high level D1 guys, played pro, never were close to the NBA because you can't really get an NBA player to commit to doing that. But they'll fly over to LA for a little bit of money, and during the summers, their job would basically be you're playing against these guys, you're guarding.
The critical differentiator among elite trainers isn't the specific exercises they prescribe during individual sessions. The real value lies in who they can recruit to participate in these workouts. On the men's side, this advantage becomes particularly evident. High-level Division I players who competed professionally overseas but never reached NBA rosters often get recruited for summer training camps. These athletes fly to training locations like Los Angeles for modest compensation, essentially serving as live practice opponents. Their defensive capabilities don't quite reach NBA standards, but they provide significantly better resistance than working solely with trainers.
As these guys, you're guarding these guys. You are not giving them NBA level defense, but it's good enough defense that it's better than like getting a trainer. But it's not good enough defense that, you're just going to swat them every single time, or like the moves aren't going to work. And that's the reason why a lot of these trainers are so successful. It's not necessarily about the drills they do. And that's what people are kind of mistaken about it. It's that who they can get them to come up against on the defensive end. It's how they're able to put them in settings to succeed. And that's the real.
Occasionally, passes come from different angles, requiring the rebounder to hit an intermediary passer first. These patterns remain consistent regardless of whether participants are 10 years old or professional athletes. The distinction with Dozier lies in his NBA team affiliation and organizational resources. Photographs from recent training sessions show the star guard working alongside 5 other individuals. This group dynamic suggests some participants act as defenders, while others assist with various drill components. This represents a departure from previous off-season approaches.
Things to succeed, and that's the real thing. And if you look, some of these high-level NBA trainers have 3-4 NBA players on the go at the same time. Like, as far as a shooting workout is concerned, whether it's Chris Brickley, Drew Hansen, Rob Dozier, or me. If it is a catch and shoot workout, it is irrelevant. One person acts as a rebounder, kicks to the shooter. They either shoot on the move or they shoot off the catch. Or sometimes you want pass from a different angle, rebounder hits passer, pass. It's the same thing.
Last year's training footage typically showed solo workouts with minimal defensive simulation, primarily the former coach providing token resistance, while another staff member offered verbal guidance from the sidelines. The current setup, involving multiple participants, enables 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 configurations, creating much more game-realistic training scenarios compared to isolated one-on-one work. The presence of Indiana Pacers organization members at these sessions indicates deeper integration with the parent franchise's resources. This connection provides access to quality practice opponents who understand professional-level competition. Even lower-level staff members within NBA organizations typically possess substantial playing experience and skill, making them valuable training partners. One example involves former players who work in supporting coaching roles for NBA teams.
Pass. It's the same thing, from 10-year-olds to pros. There are some drills that are the same. But I do think Rob Dozier obviously working with an NBA team. There's obviously, you can see here, there's a team with them. There is a team. It is Caitlin Clark with 5 others. So somebody's obviously acting as defenders, people helping her out in those settings. Because from every workout we saw last year, it was Caitlin Clark. It was Caitlin Clark, and
these individuals may be in their mid to late 30s but still possess elite abilities relative to general populations. Their organizational access allows them to serve as defenders, rebounders, or passers during player development sessions. Having such talent available creates superior training environments. The hope surrounding this new approach centers on adopting more comprehensive NBA-style development methods. Specific weaknesses require attention, particularly proficiency, driving right, and shooting while moving in that direction. Workout footage from the previous offseason revealed comfort issues with these skills when defensive pressure was applied during actual games.
And kind of dummy defense by Keith Porter. It was Stephanie White shouting things at Caitlin Clark as she did a workout. But considering there's this many people here watching, the reality is that surely one of these is acting as a defender. There's 5 people there. You can play 2s. You can play 3s to get her work in, which is much closer to game-based training than just doing a one-on-one workout. And that's what my hope is from looking at this.
Another area needing development involves left-handed finishing ability. Analysis of last year's training videos showed a complete absence of left-hand layup attempts throughout entire workout sessions. This omission raised legitimate concerns that were dismissed by some as nitpicking. However, game performance validated these worries. The player attempted virtually no left-handed layups during competition. Similarly, off-the-dribble three-point attempts while driving right appeared only rarely in game situations, maybe 3 times throughout the entire season. These specific deficiencies, left-hand finishing and shooting while moving right, were precisely what careful observers noted as missing from off-season preparation.
My hope is from looking at this. Obviously, there are people just there. But I doubt random people from the Indiana Pacers organization that have not worked with Caitlin Clark. If nothing else, Caitlin Clark is working out with Indiana Pacers trainers. She's working out with Pacers trainers. She's working out with the Pacers staff. And that's the thing, again, when it comes to people that are the staff. Like a guy I used to play with worked as like a really low-level S&C coach for the Houston Rockets. But like this guy was like, here was the fucking man. Like I played, like he's pushing, like he's 30.
During the previous campaign, significant muscle mass was added to the upper body. Images from that period, including birthday photos from a wedding, showed noticeably developed arms, not just for a guard position but relative to players generally. This additional bulk provided some advantages. The increased size helped absorb physical contact when opponents attempted to power through screens and body checks. Greater strength offered resistance against aggressive defensive tactics. However, trade-offs accompanied these benefits.
Stop our vacation and speak with a fan. Yes, speak with a fan, man. Shout out to Christian Palmer. Instead of Caitlin Clark and her parents were staying at the same resort as us. The hosted seated us right next to her at breakfast one morning. I told her we live in Kansas City, and naturally we talked about the Chiefs. LOL. She was nice, My hubby got a pic with her. Wow, bruh. This is major. So this is the picture that her husband got.
Mobility decreased noticeably. Shooting mechanics appeared affected. Most significantly, injury occurred a direct consequence of the altered physical profile combined with the league's officiating approach. This offseason shows clear evidence of returning to a leaner physique. The visible slimming down suggests lessons learned from the previous year's experiment with added bulk. League dynamics may be evolving as well, potentially influencing this decision.
We got Kristen Palmer. I believe she's a content creator. Yeah, she is. She's a content creator. And she definitely shared her experience with Caitlin Clark online, which was so freaking cool, man. The Caitlin Clark, for all this notion that Caitlin Clark don't like fans or have an issue with black people, it's all cap, bruh. I can't even stunt.
The injury epidemic that affected numerous players last season likely prompted organizational discussions about physicality standards. Multiple star athletes suffered injuries amid complaints about insufficient officiating protection. When the league's most prominent attraction went down after bulking up to withstand rough play, the consequences became undeniable. Viewership dropped approximately 50%.
I can't even stunt. Caitlin Clark got a lot of black fans. She definitely got a lot of black fans. And I think the way, the black community support Caitlin Clark is what kind of pissed off a lot of Angel Reese fans. We just got to be honest. People poured in their love and they support for Caitlin Clark, early on. And there was a large debate that Caitlin Clark, early on. And there was a large debate that, black people wasn't black enough. Even from me, I received a lot of hate from it. That black people was not black enough because they didn't show love to Caitlin Clark. I mean, to Angel Reese. Whenever she won the national championship, they didn't show love to her and all these different things. But end of the day, people fell in love with Caitlin Clark over her logo threes, the way she carried herself in pictures like this. I don't see very many pictures of Angel Reese with her fans. Now, I'm not one to pick on Angel Reese. I haven't talked about her in a mighty long time. But, that was a growing notion that you weren't black enough if you didn't support Angel Reese. Now, with that being said, man, like I stated, this was just so cool that Caitlin Clark decided to do this. And I'm just happy about it, man. I'm just happy about it. Now, we got a smidget of an update on CBA negotiations. So this is an article that came out early this morning. It says Breanna Stewart on endless CBA talks, just starting to see end of the tunnel. So Breanna Stewart is pretty much saying that we could be getting close to a deal on this CBA negotiation, man. And I'm going to be so happy when we do. We get back to a lot of stuff, man. They say Stewart says she can start to see a finish line to labor negotiation. A lot of stuff, man. They say Stewart says she can start to see a finish line to labor negotiations for the first time since WNBA players opted out back in 2024. So on October 21st, 2024, WNBA players opted out of their collective bargaining agreement, with the league setting the stage for a labor fight that was dominated the sports. Now, 15 months later, Breanna Stewart told Front Office Sport that she's just starting to see a possible resolution to the talks. The Liberty Star and Unrivaled co-founder is also a vice president in the WNBA Players Union, which has been pushing for a bigger share of revenue. Stewart told reporters earlier this month that while the WNBA players have the ability to strike in our back pocket, no strike was present. In a recent interview with Front Office Sports, Stewart told her wife that my brain is hurting from the range